So they are coming to services. I think this is the first time I've really done services from home, which is hard
Hmm.
to believe, but I was always the one who went into the synagogue building. So
Mm.
thank you all for coming out for Shabbat, that we get to enjoy Shabbat together. I'm hoping that you can see the shared screen with the words of prayer on it.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, thank you for being willing and able to tune in and join us from your house as well. One of the things I'm going to suggest for folks is to go ahead and turn off, make sure A, you mute. That makes a big difference.
What?
And B, go ahead and turn off your camera. And I'm actually, now that I'm remembering, I can do these things. I'm going to spotlight myself. I'm going to spotlight Cantor Jeremy.
Yeah, you're in charge, Rabbi.
Yeah, got to remember I actually can do all of those things. And so as the two of us are spotlighted, if everyone else then turns off your cameras, so you really just see like you're looking at the bima, we will have an opportunity for our Shabbat hug, for us to turn back on our cameras and wave to each other. You can also use the chat function. It's just a really good way of wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom. And I am gonna go ahead. I'm gonna mute all, and then Jeremy and I will then unmute. Not sure why it's not giving me the ability to do that. Huh? Okay. So, Jeremy, are you ready? Oh,
Yes, sir.
and then Jeremy unmute. There we go.
Test 1, 2, everybody. Great. All right. Ine Matov. And Ine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Ine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is,
How sweet it
to be
is.
together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Hine Matov, Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
So, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Take just a moment to let 6 days of work, this very strange and challenging week, I think is fair to say, as we are back on Zoom, having faced this rather incredible storm. And there are still members of our congregation that are dealing with floods. There are still members of our congregation dealing with power outages. There are lots of families. I think we saw 42 deaths attributed to this storm and millions of people still without power, and countless lives truly disrupted. And so we take just a moment as we are on this Shabbat in the wake of Hurricane Helene we take just a moment to let that 6 days of work, thinking about where we were last night at this time, and we get ready to settle into this day of Shabbat, this day of rest and reflection and renewal. And as we are together, we join with Cantor Jeremy, and we sing these words of Lecha Dodi. We welcome Shabbat as a bride.
Lecha lecha dodi liba kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha lecha dodi liba kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabala. La lecha dodi liba kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha lecha dodi liba kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Shabbat mezachor be'durecha. Yishmayanu el hamu yuchad Adonai echad u'zemo echad. B'shem u'lut b'reteli tikad la chadodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Liba Shabbat lechu b'necha ki hu michochu b'racha b'rosh migenim nisucha so ma'aseh b'machshava tichla la lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Hitori divi ore kumi ori shir daberi kevod Adonai al alich nigla la lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Viva Shalom Naterebala Hag Besimcha Uvatzola Tochem Munei Am Segula Bo'i Chala 2, 3, lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha dodi liba kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala.
So, as we are together on this Shabbat, if you have Shabbat candles, you are more than welcome to join me in the lighting of our Shabbat lights.
Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
And as I light my Shabbat lights, I look down, and reflected in the glass below me, I've got a fuzzy friend who is just sitting there quietly and relaxed, enjoying Shabbat services. And so we join with Cantor Jeremy as we offer these prayers and welcome Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu
I'm still working on my camera skills. And Leah, I like how you've got a beautiful reflection of your candles right behind you. And as we are together on this Shabbat, we not only acknowledge the light of God, but we also acknowledge the holiness and sweetness of Shabbat. As I lift this cup and we join together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadosho b'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lama'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikomim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
And as we are together on this Shabbat, I'm going to take off the spotlights. If you would like to open up your camera, you can turn on your camera. Open up your camera. If you'd like to turn on your camera, this is one of those rather incredible moments that even though we are separated by space, look at how we get to enjoy this Shabbat together. And so if you would like to send a Shabbat Shalom in through the chat window, everybody can see it through the chat. And we can also, on the count of three, also have a big wave to each other. How wonderful it is that we get to enjoy this Shabbat together. Echad, shtaim, shalosh. And everybody can wave and wish a big Shabbat Shalom to each other. How wonderful it is that we are able to enjoy this Shabbat together. And as I offer that Shabbat Shalom, one of the early days of the pandemic, we had that moment. And you have to realize that my parents' Zoom room is my old teenage high school bedroom in Carrollwood, not far from where I am now. So as we're doing this, I'm looking into my high school bedroom, and the chat message my parents sent was a strange string of letters. I'm like, is this Yiddish? Are they cursing at me? And then I remembered it was Snowy, their cat, who liked to walk across the keyboard in the middle of services. So that's part of this. Here we get invited. We might be separated by space, but here we're getting to spend time and getting to welcome each other into our homes and getting to enjoy this Shabbat together. And so I'm going to spotlight Jeremy and I once again as we get ready for our formal Shabbat worship. And as you might have seen, I know Helene stood up when we were in the midst of Lecha Dodi. If you're able to physically rise and you're comfortable doing it, you're welcome to. If you would like to just lift your spirits as we sit here on Zoom together, you are certainly welcome to. It is just the way we enjoy this Shabbat together. And so here we are for the Chatzi Kaddish as we begin our formal worship with these words of praise.
Yitgadal v'yigdal Shamei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shnei Rabbah v'morach Le'alam u'al me'omaya
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yithada v'yithaleh v'yithalal Shamei d'kudesh habarechu Le'ela min chol birchata v'shirata Tush v'chata v'nechemata ta'amiram v'alma v'imru Amen. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. La 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 la, la 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 la, la la Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed Le'olam Vaed Yalla lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai 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 La lai 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 La la lai 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 La la lai lai.
And so as we get into the heart of our service, Helene, would you be willing to be our congregational reader? So if there's part from the congregation, Helene, would you be willing to read it? So that just means you'll have to unmute occasionally. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due.
Praise be Adonai, to whom our praise is due, now and forever.
Praise be Adonai, to whom our praise is due now and forever. And from our projection, prayer is not purely an act. All things pray. All things pour forth their souls. The heavens pray, the earth prays, every creature, every living thing. In all life there's a longing. Creation itself is but a longing, a kind of prayer to the Almighty. Together, what are the clouds?
The rising and the setting of the sun, the soft radiance of the moon, and the gentleness of the night. What are the flashes of the human mind and the storms of the human heart?
They are all prayers, the wordless outpouring of boundless longing for God. We add our prayers into the spirit of all creation. We feel God's light and reflect it back into our world. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv ha'aravim. And her blessing for love or blessing for revelation.
mitzvot, קימו משפטי, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. Adonai Eloheinu b'shachenu, Einu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Va'ed ki hei chayenu. Mimenu le'olamim. Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious. Whoops, something's over my words. There's a chat over my words. Okay, glorious majesty forever and ever.
V'yavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinatam livanecha vidibatabam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu lototafot Ben enecha lema'an tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hiyatem kadoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Hear, O Israel, just as God is one, so are we. Just as you shall love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might, so shall you love all people. Teach love, compassion, and understanding to your children when you sit in your home, while you walk on your way, when you retire, and when, again, I have a message over my words, and when you arise. Bind these words as a sign upon your arm, so that you may fight against prejudice between your eyes, so that you may not be blind to the suffering of others. And write them on the doorposts of your house and gates, so that you remind yourself and others that intolerance will not be tolerated within these walls.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot.
That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, and there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam. Ay ya 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 ya, ya ba bim bam. Ay ya 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 ya, ya ba bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'elim atodot, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Nora Tehilot, oh say Pele, Nora Tehilot, oh say Pele. Ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, Bokeh ayam livnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli, anu v'amru, Adonai himno le'olam ha'ed. Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya 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 ya, ya ba ba bim bam, ay ya 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 ya, ya ba bim bam. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And as we offer those words for God's redemption, we also offer these words for a good night's sleep.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from thy soul. Let there be love and understanding among us. Peace and friendship be our shelter from thy soul. Hashkiveh Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkiveh V'ha'amitenu Shomrenu l'chayim Ufros aleinu Sukkot Shemomecha Hashkiveh Adonai Eloheinu Hashkiveh Shalom peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapares sukat shalom aleinu, v'ol amo Yisrael, va'al Yerushalayim. On this Shabbat, as we offer those prayers of peace to the world, we also then join together with these words of the tefillah. And as I said earlier, this is the tefillah, the central prayers of our service. If you're able to stand, you're certainly welcome to stand. But if you're not, it's not comfortable to stand. That's hard when you're on camera like that. Do not feel like you have to stand. We can just enjoy this and lift our spirits in response to these words of prayer. And so we join with Cantor Jeremy.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imaot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem, Lima'an shemo b'yahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'maken, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav le'hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel hayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekaye emunato, L'shenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech menit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hachol, Baruch atah Adonai, Michaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom yalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. You are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us.
Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers.
And there may we find you, and that find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, shodcha levadcha bir'ah na'avod. Oops, sorry about that. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki la'olam chasto. Oh, give thanks to Adonai, for God is good, for God's love is everlasting.
When we say thank you for the blessings of our lives, we feel all of the goodness and kindness of creation. When we find ways of turning our blessings into light and love to lift up those who cross our path, our appreciation becomes something greater, indefinite, infinite, and eternal.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha na'eh lehodot. May we find peace with those we love, growing together over time.
May we be at peace with ourselves and with the labors that fill our days.
May we render peace in our world with wisdom and gentle patience.
May we be at peace with the source, letting understanding come our way.
Baruch atah Adonai, havarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. And as we are seated, I do invite you to take a few moments of silence, and a big thank you to Helene for joining in and reading alongside of me. That extra bit of Ruach does make a difference. And so here, as we are together on this Shabbat, the last Shabbat of 5,784, not the way that I wanted to make the last Shabbat of 5,784 memorable, but here we are gathered nonetheless. And we take just a few moments for silent prayer. You can offer these words that are projected for you, or simply offer the words of your heart. We take a few moments for silent prayer.
Yihul ratzon imre fi. Yihul ratzon imre fi. V'egion lebi lefanecha. Adonai zuri v'go ali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you. Oh Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Say shalom. Say shalom. Amen. Worthy of all Israel. Amen. Oh, Amen. Amen.
I am going to stop the share for just a few moments, so as I offer some words of Torah on this Shabbat, but that means I've got to set up a few other things. Give me a second. There we go. That's what I need. You know, I remember the good old days when I had all of these things from, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Okay. So I now I remember what I'm going to do. Okay. That comes over here. Now I can pull up what I need to, because now I can see um, the chat as well as a couple of notes, because I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. So you please use the chat. I am curious, and you can certainly chat your answers to me, but I am curious, why do we step on the glass during a wedding? So you can use your chat. I am curious, why do we step on the glass at the end of a Jewish wedding? Okay, so Heather Fisk says the destruction of the temple, not Temple B'nai Israel, the temple in Jerusalem. The temple is okay, some power issues, but the temple is okay. Other reasons. That marriage is fragile, that's a beautiful one, Ruth. Denise says to symbolize our broken world. Thank you, Leah, for the ending of maidenhood. Yes, even on Zoom, the rabbi won't say that. I'm glad you're chuckling at me. Other responses. So there's also the scaring away of evil spirits. There's also that the people are partying too hard, and so you have to get their quiet so you can get their attention. Andrea says when the glass is broken, it has to be put back as a marriage, that there is that idea that a married couple is a partnership trying to bring shalom, everything coming back together. These are all reasons for the one singular event. And one of the things you will hear me say is that that in Judaism, the more answers there are, the more you can be certain no one knows what the exact answer is. And that's part of the beauty of Judaism, that all of these are different powerful reasons why you would step on a glass during a wedding. Now, I bring this up because in our Torah portion, the Shabbat, there's this really incredible moment. It's the very end of Deuteronomy. We're getting close to the end of our Torah reading cycle, which is when we'll flip back around and have Simchat Torah at the end of our Chagim that are coming up. There is an instruction from Moses to the people of Israel and to Joshua, and God to Joshua, saying, hey, y'all, get ready. Moses isn't going to be around forever. The mantle of leadership is about to be passed, and it's going to go from Moses to Joshua. And Joshua, you need to have chazak v'amutz. Chazak v'amutz. Chazak v'amutz. Be strong and have courage. Be resolute and be careful. This repeated 4 times in just this Torah portion. From God to Joshua, Moses to Joshua, the people to Joshua, repeated again and again. And it should catch our attention when this is brought up, because it's not just repeated 4 times, but there are 2 words. It's not just, be strong. It's not just have courage. It's not just resolute. It's all of those things repeated multiple times. And just like a ritual that has multiple reasons, that when we see those things that are repeated multiple times, you can be certain it's one of those things that humans struggle to be able to bring into reality. That we tell ourselves again and again these kinds of messages, like is being told to Joshua, have strength and be resolute, have courage and fortitude. This repetition of these same words goes again and again because it's hard for Joshua to do, because it means so many different things. And as we were getting ready for this week with this incredible storm, remember there were those moments as I was thinking about this Torah portion of, Oi, here we go again. Do we really have to do this? What is it going to be? All of those messages. And I just remember that statement to Joshua of having strength, chazak, the amuts, of having that fortitude, that courage, that strength, of being resolute. And it was those words that kept coming back to me. And I was, as I think about those words and what does it mean to carry those values, there was apparently it's one of Aesop's fables. It was one of those stories. Every story a rabbi tells you think it's from the Talmud, but in this case, it's from Aesop's fable. Do you all know the story of the oak tree and the reed of grass? So it is one of Aesop's fables. It's a oak tree is next to a reed of grass, and they're in the midst of a windstorm. And it's just a gentle kind of windstorm, and there is the oak. Of course, the oak is strong, it's got deep roots, and it's feeling this breeze, and its leaves are moving, but it's chametz v'nitchazek v'amutz. It's very strong, it's resolute, it's holding up to the breeze. And of course, what does a reed do when it gets that wind that blows over it? It immediately bows down. It falls down. It can't stand up to that wind. But then, of course, as the story goes, then it's a hurricane. It's a whirlwind. It's a tornado. And it's this massive wind that is so strong that it knocks over the oak tree, that it pulls up its roots. The oak tree isn't able to withstand the super strong wind. And what does the reed do? The reed, in an incredible way, finds its way, that it bends in the wind, but of course it's used to bending in the wind. It bends in the wind all of the time. It doesn't matter how strong the wind is, it's just going to bend and go with the wind. It doesn't have to try to stand up to it. It doesn't have to try to stand through it. It lets the wind rush around it. And when the wind is over, what does the reed do? The reed just pops right back up while the oak tree has fallen over and can no longer be sustained. To me, it's such a beautiful and powerful moment because here this oak tree and reed are having this argument back and forth. Well, who is strong and who is resolute? Who has courage and who has fortitude? And in one way of telling the story, in that moment of one breeze, it's the oak tree and not the reed. But then you flip it over, and that resilience, that ability to bend, that ability to go with the breeze, to go with the wind, allows the reed to bounce back and get through the challenge the oak tree couldn't. Sometimes we've got to be the oak tree, and sometimes we have to be the reed. That having fortitude and having strength and having courage and being resolute doesn't always mean the same thing, the same time, to the same people. And it was thinking about that Aesop's fable that it was very striking to me, reading some of the commentaries. How does a mezuzah hang? A mezuzah doesn't hang upright, and a mezuzah doesn't hang vertically. It hangs at 45 degrees. Wouldn't you know, there's a whole argument. Goes back to Rashi. Rashi said that our words, our spirit should reach to heaven, so a mezuzah should be upright. That the mezuzah should be on our door, it should be vertical, the name of heaven should be pointed up, right? And then one of his grandson comes along and says, no, Grandpa, that doesn't work. That the words of Torah are like in the ark, that we shouldn't be standing up before God, we should be bowing down. We're about to get to the great Aleinu for the high holy days, that the mezuzah, like the Torah scroll, or like the Torah scrolls or in the Ten Commandments in the Ark of the Covenant, should be lying horizontal as a reminder that we should bow down in the face of God. Right? Two different answers. Is it vertical or is it horizontal? And what's the answer that comes along 150 years later is we'll put it at 45 degrees. Because sometimes we need to feel that pull to stand up, to rise, to lift ourselves up. And other times we need to find those times where we're allowed, like the reed, to be able to bow down, to be able to go with the flow. And so just that incredible image of those two ways of defining and thinking about what it means to be strong and to be resolute. And then in the same breath, what did I do? I came across yet another commentary, and I want to make sure I acknowledge the folks that I got the commentary from. Actually, I think this is the one that didn't have a name on it, which I was quite struck by. So this was a rabbi talking about one of his mentors. And he says, always after offering sage advice, he would conclude the conversation with Chazak v'amatz, don't weaken, be strong. In the halls of the schools of the building, I would hear, and this is his mentor's voice, Jack Horowitz's gravelly sing-song voice say, oh, can't you remember Chazak v'amatz? These words have helped me many times in multiple situations. I heard Jack's voice telling me Chazak va'amatz when I entered a hospital room of a congregant on life support. In turn, I said these biblical words to an anxious bar mitzvah student as we entered the sanctuary right before the beginning of Shabbat morning service. I say Chazak va'amatz to my rabbinic and cantoral students right before ordination as they stood on the cusp of a new career. And each year before I enter my HUC classroom for the first time, I say these words to myself. Jack Horowitz was no Moses, and I'm no Joshua, but these ancient words have helped me. Like Joshua, walk with courage as we navigate the unknown, difficult and unpredictable events in our lives. Chazak va'amatz. I love that commentary because rather than trying to say what is chazak and what is amatz, what are these words, what is strength, what is courage, what is resoluteness, instead of trying to say this is how you live, it becomes a mantra. It becomes words to play with our mouths, with our minds, with our hearts and our souls. As we are facing those moments, don't have some of us might need an image like an oak tree or a reed. Some of us might need that idea of either being pulled from upright to bent over, from lying down to bent to standing up. But some of us might just need the words. Chazak va'amatz. We might just need to tell ourselves, Chazak va'amatz. The generations before have dealt with this. Chazak va'amatz. I've dealt with this. Chazak va'amatz. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I just need to use trudge mode to go one step at a time. Chazak va'amatz. It's repeated again and again from Moses and God to Joshua in this moment. So let us hear it and take it to heart. Chazak va'amatz. Let us find our courage. Let us find our strength. Let us find our fortitude. Let us find that ability to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to face the challenges of our time, and to finish this year, 5,784, with courage, with passion, with curiosity, with chutzpah, and be ready to enter this new world, this new year of 5,785. Shabbat Shalom. It is wonderful we are together. Give me just a second to work a little bit of magic. Your screen is going to go black. It's okay. As we are here on this Shabbat together, I'm going to go back to Jeremy. And if you would like to offer a name for Misha Berach, a blessing for healing and comfort, you can certainly put that into the chat. As we are together on this Shabbat facing a little bit of brokenness in our day and age as we are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, we offer these words of blessing.
May the source of strength, who plants the ones before us, help us find the courage to meet our lives of blessing, and let us say, Amen.
So on this Shabbat, I acknowledge Melissa Brahm, Barbara Breslow, Frankie Clement, Ann Cole, Leah Conway, Nikki Edelstein, Mark Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, Brian Edelstein, Eric Fisk, Gideon Jacob Fisher, Thomas Fuchs, Harriet Kaplan, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Elena Lecompote, Isla Blake Licampote, Natalie Eichelbaum Licampote, Emma Martinez, Tony Rindy, Rachel Salistio, sorry, Stephen Schatz, Sally Siegel, Marcy Sperber, Cindy Steinman, Lee Siegel, Stacy Siegel, Kevin Stone, Pete Tanner, Fred Truax, Joy Broida, and Barry Alpert. And as I look to what you have shared on chat, we go ahead. Was someone adding a name? I see Lou Abellock, Barry Alpert, Jennifer Rutenberg, and Vanny Turneau. We think of them and all of those who are in need of healing and comfort as we offer these words of healing.
Bless those in need of healing with wash them out, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Give me just, oops, give me just a moment. I needed one more thing before we begin the conclusion of our service. We do anticipate being back in this at TBI tomorrow. TBI didn't have any damage, but our electrical systems are definitely scrambled. And so it is good that we're on Zoom tonight, because if we had been at the synagogue building, well, I don't know that we would have had air or lights or other things in various parts of the building, but we are getting all of that sorted out. By tomorrow night, we should have our spaces prepared for us. So tomorrow night at 7 o'clock is our Slichot service and ritual. Come join us as we finish off 5,784. We'll be studying the Jewish concept of mazel, of fortune. So that'll be at 7. We'll also do our service for Slichot, and we will be changing the Torah covers over. And so if you would like to come help with that, to go from the colors that they are normally to putting on the white Torah covers, that is rather incredible act to be able to be a part of, and we invite everyone to join us. And of course, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is the beginning of the new year, the beginning of Rosh Hashanah. We'll have services at 7, and then in the morning they'll be at 10. I think there's still a window of time to RSVP to join us for the Rosh Hashanah lunch after Rosh Hashanah morning services. And then next Saturday night, we will have our Tashlich service. And as I'm saying that, there is no reverse Tashlich. I know the messages had gone out. There is no Tashlich, there is no reverse Tashlich this Sunday due to the weather. But we will have our regular Tashlich on the Saturday night between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Lily wishes her nanny, Sharon, a Shabbat Shalom. And Lily, it's wonderful that you're with us, and I'm sure you are dancing and having fun all through services. And your grandmother is kvelling in this very moment. So it's wonderful that she is getting a chance to kvel, and that you all are with us. And we begin the conclusion of our service with Aleinu, which is on page 282, but I'm guessing you all are looking at the PowerPoint that is there for you.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, sheto asanu kegayei haratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Someday, every person will hear God's words and do what God commands. We pray with all our hearts.
Let there be no more fighting and violence and war. Let the time come soon when people will be kind to each other, when no one will be hungry or homeless, when everyone will be free.
Let us begin. May our love and care bring near the time when all people will be one peaceful human family. On that day, all people will say, Adonai is the one and only God of the whole world.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
And as we are together on this Shabbat, before we offer words of Kaddish, as we say that we hope that the world will be one and of peace, I am reminded that Tolerance Fest is tomorrow. Is that in Safety Harbor? Where is Tolerance Fest, Tanya? Or Melissa? You are welcome to unmute. It is at the Safety Harbor Music Center. I believe it's from 10 to 2. Sharon, if it's, yes, it's from 10 to 2, Safety Harbor Art and Music Center. And so come out. I know that we will have some congregational Girl Scouts that will be there and enjoy that for that Shabbat morning. And so as we are here, and if you are observing a yard site that is not on our yard site list, and you would like to acknowledge that yard site, you certainly can enter it into the chat as well. We must pause to honor and remember, from wildfires to floods, wars to pandemics, there have been many who have died, leaving families and communities broken. We pause to offer silence as an act of presence in the face of these unexpected traumas in our lives. Give me just a moment. On this Shabbat, we acknowledge Harold Alterman, Myron C. Auerbach, Ida Bellick, David Benjamin, Jack Buckman, Paula Eckelman, Elaine Garin, Charles Graber, Sylvia G. Horwitz, Murray Kepner, Shirley Krause, Rebecca Lefkowitz, David A. Levitt, Marty Lieberman, Joseph Liggio, Yetta Lopatin, Esther Menken, Mark Miller, Harold Morgan, Wesley Pressman, Sylvia Richmond, Nathan Rosenberg, Harry S. Rowan, Alfred A. Savitt, Francis P. Schwab, Morton Lewis Schwartz, Martin Schweitzer, Bernard Schneider, Harry Schumann, Norman Schumann, John Strauss, Bernard Weinberg, Lillian Weiner, Lillian Weiss, Julius Weiss, and Abraham Werner. Are there any other yard sites to be observed on this Shabbat? We also acknowledge those who have died in this past year. It is the first yard site for Bruce Epstein, Rosalind Bean, Ruth Weintraub, Cheryl Mattis, Todd Hawkins, Herbert Wallowick, Philip Burt Gelman, Ruth Poller, Tommy Daster, Jeffrey Mears, Carol Pick, Evan Bin, Myrna Katz, Diane Walensky, Marcia Dewar, Hank Horan, Mark Graber, Jeff Petracco, Barbara Enfinger, Robert Gold, and Jerry Minko. They are with us as we are together on this Shabbat, and we offer these words of praise. Yid Kedal, Yid Kedash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Yerutev Yom Lich Malchuteh, B'chayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala Uv'izman Kariv V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam U'omei Omaya, Yid Barach V'yishtabach, Yipa'ar V'yitruman V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha, Berechu. Le'elam min kol birkata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Hu say shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. And may the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who have lost someone they love, as we say, amen. And so as we are together on this Shabbat, give me just a minute. Now is a time for turning. We are at the last days of 5,784, and we are charged to use this month of Elul to reflect. We do cheshbon nefesh to take responsibility for mistakes, to get on a healthier, more balanced path for the new year.
It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again.
It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing we have the ability to change. These things are terribly hard to do. So we join together in song. Oh, sorry, not yet, quite yet. Helene?
Fun. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from every envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith.
Turn us around, O God, bring us back to you. Revive our lives as the beginning. Turn us towards each other, Eternal One, for in isolation there is not life.
We return, we return, we return, we return again. We return, we return, we return, we return again and again to we return again to God. We return, we return, we return, we return, we return again. We return,
We return,
we return,
we return.
we return, we return again and again to true love. True again to Yeah, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return,
We return,
we return,
we return.
we return, return again to you. To we return again to.
And so we do this by saying aloud the words of Psalm 27. Listen, Adonai, O God, when I cry aloud, have mercy on me, answer me. Seek my face, my heart repeats, your face, O God, do I seek. Hide not your face from me, do not ignore me in anger. You help me, show me your way, Adonai, lead me on a level path. Look to God for hope, be strong and of good courage. Look to Adonai for faith. And so we offer a Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Give me just a moment to shift all my settings around here. You are more than welcome. I know some folks already still have their cameras on. If you would like to turn your camera back on because your camera has been off, we have an opportunity to say a final big Shabbat Shalom to each other. And so again, there is Tolerance Fest tomorrow in Safety Harbor, and then later tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. We assume at Temple Beth B'nai Israel. We'll see. We'll let you know if there is a change. But at Temple B'nai Israel, we'll have Slichot and finish the last Shabbat of 5,784 to be able to really enjoy and enter this new year with sweetness and with blessing. And so with that, I say Shabbat Shalom, and everyone can now have a wave.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom,
everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
Jeremy, a big
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you all. See you tomorrow.
Everyone stay safe and have a good evening.